The hidden power you've been ignoring is not found in noise and boasting or in broadcasting your dreams to the world. It lives in silence, deep, intentional, disciplined silence. Most people never realize this because they are conditioned to believe that speaking makes them stronger, that sharing their plans makes them look confident, or that announcing their goals will force them to stay committed. But the truth is far different. The truth is that every time you speak too soon, you leak energy. Every time you reveal your plans, you open the door for resistance. Every time you share what you haven't yet built, you weaken the very foundation of your future. And the most dangerous part is this: you don't even realize it's happening. There is a secret that only a small percentage of people understand. These are the people who rise quietly, who grow without needing applause, who transform while the world isn't looking. They understand that the most powerful moves are the ones made in silence. They know that when you keep your intentions to yourself, you create an inner environment where confidence grows naturally. Your mind becomes less distracted, less influenced, and less vulnerable. Your goals become yours again, not the world's to judge, question, or attack. Most people sabotage themselves long before failure ever touches them. They do it by talking. They do it by announcing their plans before they have even taken a single step. They share their ambitions with people who don't believe in them, people who envy them, or people who simply don't understand the magnitude of what they are trying to build. Every opinion, every raised eyebrow, every unnecessary comment becomes a seed of doubt planted in their mind. And without realizing it, they begin to shrink. They begin to second-guess themselves. They begin to lose the fire that once burned so intensely. BR silence protects you from this. Silence strengthens your inner world. Silence allows you to nurture your ambition like a seed planted in rich soil, hidden, insulated, and protected from harsh weather until it is strong enough to withstand anything, until it is ready to be seen. When you keep your dreams quiet, you give yourself the gift of unhindered growth. You give yourself the chance to evolve without feeling pressured to prove anything. You give yourself the freedom to fail privately, learn privately, adjust privately, and rise privately. True power does not need an audience. It does not need validation. It does not need attention. It grows internally, quietly, steadily, and when the time is right, it reveals itself with undeniable force. But it can only do this if it has the space to breathe in silence. Every powerful transformation begins internally, in the unseen parts of you, in the thoughts you guard, in the decisions you make when no one is watching. This is why silence is not weakness. It is the shield that protects your potential. It is the container that holds your focus. It is the boundary that keeps you aligned with your true purpose. When you stay silent, you remove the noise that dilutes your clarity. You shut out the voices that would have discouraged you. You silence the doubts before they have a chance to grow. You train your mind to rely on itself instead of seeking approval, praise, or understanding. And this is where the real shift happens, when your strength begins to build from within, not from the world around you. The moment you discover this, everything changes. You start to feel a new sense of power rising inside you. You begin to trust your path more deeply. You stop needing to explain yourself. You become comfortable with the fact that others don't know what you are building or why you are working so hard. And that is exactly how it should be. Your future is not their business. Your plans are not their concern. Your dreams are not their responsibility. The hidden power you've been ignoring has been waiting for you to realize one thing: you don't need to. Speak to be powerful. You don't need to announce your intentions to make them real. You don't need validation to begin. You just need silence, discipline, and unwavering belief in what you are creating. And once you understand this secret, you will never allow your words to weaken your destiny again. Silence is often misunderstood because people assume that strength is loud, expressive, and constantly visible. But the truth is the exact opposite. The most powerful step toward greatness is the moment you choose to stay silent and turn inward. In that moment, you shift from trying to be impressive to becoming intentional. You stop scattering your energy outward and begin channeling it directly toward your goals. Silence creates a space inside you where focus sharpens naturally, without effort. It builds a mental environment where clarity grows and unnecessary noise fades away. When you stop talking about what you're going to do, your mind finally starts working on how you're going to do it. This transition is subtle, but it is life-changing, because the moment you stop explaining your dreams to the world is the moment you start building the inner strength required to achieve them. Silence is not weakness. It is a form of controlled power. When you deliberately choose not to speak, you're not avoiding confrontation, nor are you hiding. You're protecting the parts of yourself that are still forming. You're guarding the vision that isn't ready to be exposed. You're giving your mind the freedom to develop ideas without the weight of other people's expectations. Talking too early forces your intentions into the world before they are strong enough to survive criticism or doubt. But silence allows your ideas to grow roots, to reshape themselves, to mature in your mind until they become unbreakable. And once something is unbreakable within you, no outside force can destroy it. There is a psychological advantage in silence that most people never discover. When you keep your moo shut, you eliminate the pressure of performing for others. You remove the need to justify your pace, your choices, and your progress. You stop seeking approval and begin entering a state of internal self-direction. This is where true freedom begins. Because when you're no longer influenced by external voices, your inner voice becomes louder, clearer, more authoritative. You begin to hear your intuition guiding you. You begin to trust your instincts. You begin to rely on your own judgment instead of depending on the opinions of people who have never walked your path. Silence clears the fog created by unnecessary conversations and leaves you alone with the truth of what you really want. Silence also gives you the advantage of unpredictability. When people don't know your plans, they can't interfere, discourage, or sabotage you, intentionally or unintentionally. When you stay quiet, you gain the element of surprise. You move without resistance. You make progress without external friction. And by the time the world notices what you've been doing, it's too late for anyone to stop you. Your actions are already taking shape. Your results are already forming. Your momentum is already built. Silence allows you to build quietly while others waste time talking loudly and achieving nothing. Most importantly, silence forces you to engage with your goals instead of discussing them. Talking creates an illusion of progress. It tricks the brain into believing something has been accomplished simply by announcing the intention. But silence leaves no such illusion. When you stay quiet, the only way to feel progress is to make progress. Your mind knows that action is the only option, and that is where power is born, not in words, but in movement. Choosing silence is choosing discipline. Choosing silence is choosing focus. Choosing silence is choosing strength. It is the first step toward becoming someone whose actions speak louder than their promises. When you finally embrace silence, you begin the transformation from someone who dreams to someone who executes. And in that quiet, you discover a power you never realized you had, the power to direct your life with intention, precision, and unstoppable momentum. Growth begins the moment you stop announcing your intentions and start nurturing them in silence. Most people never experience rapid transformation because they leak their energy through constant talking. They speak about their plans as if speaking is the same as progressing, and they don't realize that every explanation drains the inner drive required to take real action. But when you keep your vision private, you create a powerful internal shift. Your mind becomes single-focused. Your energy stays inside you instead of spreading outward. You begin to feel a quiet pressure to move, to build, to perform, because there is no audience applauding your intentions, no one checking your progress, no one expecting updates. It's just you, your dream, and the work that needs to be done. That purity of focus is what accelerates growth. Without noise, without commentary, without announcing anything, you give yourself permission to evolve faster than you ever have before. The reason growth speeds up in silence is simple. The fewer people who know your plan, the fewer distractions you face. Every time you talk about your goals, you invite opinions. Some people will doubt you. Others will question you. Some will subtly discourage you with their tone, their words, or their disbelief. Even well-meaning people can derail you without realizing it. And the problem is that the mind absorbs everything. A single negative comment can plant a seed of uncertainty that slows your progress for months. But when your plan stays private, there is no interference. Your mind stays clean. Your focus stays intact. Your energy stays undivided. You begin to move without second-guessing yourself because you no longer need external approval to proceed. You act because the vision why within you feels real, feels urgent, feels non-negotiable. Another reason silent growth is so powerful is that it aligns your actions with your identity. Talking about goals gives you a temporary feeling of accomplishment, but it doesn't change who you are. Silent action, however, rewires you. Every small step you take without announcing it becomes a private victory. Every disciplined choice strengthens your self-belief. Every unseen effort adds another layer to your character. You begin to feel like someone who can rely on themselves, someone who can create without permission, someone who is capable of doing what they once believed was impossible. This inner evolution is far more important than any applause or recognition, because once your identity shifts, your entire life begins to shift with it. Our silence also magnifies your consistency. When no one knows what you're working on, you stop working for approval and start working for results. You develop a deeper commitment because your motivation comes from within, not from the validation of others. You begin to show up even on days when you don't feel like it, because there is no one to impress, no audience to entertain, no watchers waiting for progress. There is only your dream demanding your effort. This kind of consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds transformation. What used to take you months to accomplish begins happening in weeks. What used to take weeks begins happening in days. Silence helps you compress time because it removes the friction of unnecessary conversation and emotional distraction. The world has taught people to talk, to announce, to broadcast every step. But true winners do the opposite. They grow quietly, they improve quietly, they transform quietly. And then one day they appear with results so powerful that people are shocked. Not because the success is surprising, but because the journey was invisible. That is the power of silence. It turns slow progress into rapid evolution. It turns NS potential into achievement. It turns ordinary individuals into unstoppable forces. When you stop talking about what you want and start building it without noise, your life accelerates in ways you never imagined. Sharing your plans too early creates an invisible trap that most people walk into without realizing it. The moment you speak about what you want to do, you open the door for judgment, doubt, and interference. You invite opinions from people who don't share your vision, who don't understand your purpose, and who don't carry your responsibilities. And because human nature is sensitive to external voices, even a single careless comment can weaken your confidence. You may start questioning your own ideas. You may begin to wonder if your dreams are unrealistic, or if you're choosing a path that others won't support. The danger is subtle but powerful. Talking before acting exposes your goals to energy that doesn't belong to you. It makes your vision vulnerable at the exact stage when it needs the most protection. This is why so many dreams die before they even get started, not because they were impossible, but because they were spoken too soon. Another danger of premature talking is the false sense of accomplishment it creates. When you speak about your goals, your brain receives a small rush of satisfaction, as if you've already made progress. This is one of the most damaging psychological traps you can fall into. Talking tricks your mind into feeling rewarded, which reduces your drive to follow through. You begin to feel as though discussing your plans is the same as working on them, even though nothing has been built. Slowly, your urgency fades, your excitement weakens, your motivation drops, and before you even realize what happened, the fire inside you starts to dim. The more you speak, the less you act. The more you explain, the less you execute. Talking becomes a substitute for effort, and you convince yourself that you're moving forward when in reality, why? Or standing still. Our talking before acting also invites unnecessary pressure into your life. When you announce your plans, you unintentionally create expectations for yourself. People start watching. They ask questions, they expect updates, and suddenly everything becomes heavier. Instead of focusing on building your dream, you start focusing on managing their expectations. You feel stressed when you're not progressing fast enough. You feel embarrassed when things don't go exactly as planned. You feel judged when you fall behind. This external pressure can easily suffocate your creativity and drain your mental strength. You might even abandon your goal just to escape the weight of other people's opinions. But if you had remained silent, none of this pressure would exist. You would be free to fail, free to learn, free to adapt, free to grow, without feeling watched or evaluated. Another hidden danger is the way people respond to your ambition. Not everyone wants to see you succeed. Some people feel threatened by your progress. Others feel jealous of your courage. Some will discourage you because they couldn't achieve their own dreams. Others will ask negative questions, not because they care, but because they hope to plant fear in your mind. You may think their words don't affect you, but the subconscious absorbs everything. Doubt begins to grow in places you don't even notice. Over time, you end up carrying their fears, their insecurities, and their limitations. Your vision becomes foggy because it's no longer purely yours. It becomes mixed with the voices of people who never had the courage to chase anything in their own lives. Talking too early also destroys your strategic advantage. When you expose your plans, you give others insight into your next moves. Some may copy you, some may compete with you, some may try to stop you. But when you stay silent, you remain unpredictable. No one knows what you are doing, how far you've come, or what you're about to accomplish. You move in peace. You operate without interruption. By the time people find out what you've been working on, it's already too late for them to interfere. Your progress is solid. Your momentum is built. Your path is set. This is why silence is not just a habit, it's protection. It shields your dreams from the dangers that come with unnecessary words. When you choose silence over explanation, you keep your power where it belongs, inside you. The human mind is powerful, but it is also incredibly sensitive to how you use it. When you keep your goals private, you give your mind a clear signal that your dreams are sacred and not open for discussion. This alone creates a stronger internal connection to your purpose. Your brain begins to treat your goals as something personal, something meaningful, something deeply tied to your identity. But the moment you expose those goals to the world, the brain shifts. Instead of focusing on what you want, it becomes preoccupied with how others might perceive it. Suddenly, your dream is no longer a personal mission. It becomes a social performance. This shift drains your mental energy. You stop thinking about why the dream matters and start worrying about what people might say. And when your purpose loses its purity, your drive weakens. Keeping your goals private preserves that purity, allowing your mind to stay aligned with what truly matters to you, not what matters to everyone else. Psychologically, speaking about your goals too early creates a dangerous illusion of success. The brain cannot distinguish between talking and doing. When you tell someone, I'm going to start this or I'm planning to achieve that, your mind releases a small reward. It feels as if you've already taken a step, even though nothing has actually been built. This false sense of progress can be devastating because it reduces your urgency to take real action. The intention feels completed in your mind, even though the work hasn't started. Over time, this creates a cycle where you talk more and do less. You become addicted to the temporary satisfaction of telling people what you will do instead of experiencing the real satisfaction of doing it. Silence breaks this cycle. It keeps you hungry. It keeps you focused. It prevents the brain from experiencing premature reward and forces you to chase the real thing, results. Another psychological aspect of private goals is the way silence increases discipline. When no one knows what you're working on, you remove the pressure to perform for others. The only person you are accountable to is yourself, and that creates a deeper, more authentic form of commitment. External accountability might force you to act out of fear of judgment, but internal accountability makes you act out of integrity and purpose. When goals are private, you build discipline from the inside out. You show up because you want to, not because someone expects you to. You stay consistent because you believe in the vision, not because you're worried about how you look. This internal discipline becomes the foundation of long-term success because it doesn't depend on external validation. It grows from who you are becoming. Your silence also sharpens your mental clarity. When you keep your goals quiet, your mind has fewer distractions. There are no outside opinions to consider, no unnecessary comparisons to process, no conflicting advice to filter through. Your mental space becomes cleaner, calmer, and more focused. You begin to hear your own thoughts more clearly. You begin to notice your own intuition more naturally. You make decisions based on your inner guidance instead of the noise around you. This clarity is invaluable because most people fail not because they lack talent or desire, but because their minds are too cluttered with unnecessary opinions. Silence gives you the advantage of thinking deeply, strategically, and independently. With a quiet mind, you see opportunities you once missed. solutions you once ignored, and paths that were invisible to you when your mind was clouded by external voices. Another powerful psychological benefit of keeping goals private is protection against emotional instability. When you share your plans, you become emotionally tied to how people react. If they approve, you feel confident. If they doubt you, your confidence drops. This emotional roller coaster can destroy your consistency. But when your goals are private, you remain emotionally stable. No one's reaction can affect you because no one knows what you're working on. Your emotions stay balanced, your confidence remains intact, and your momentum stays uninterrupted. Privacy shields your mental state from unnecessary highs and lows. The psychology of private goals is simple yet profound. The less you talk, the stronger you become. The less you reveal, the clearer your mind becomes. The less you seek validation, the more powerful your internal drive grows. Silence is not just a habit. It is a psychological strategy that protects your ambition, strengthens your focus, and builds a foundation for unshakable success. Your power grows the moment you stop feeling the need to explain yourself to others. Most people waste enormous amounts of emotional energy trying to justify their dreams, defend their choices, or prove their worth. They think they need approval before taking action, or validation before believing in themselves. But the truth is, every moment you spend explaining yourself is a moment you take away from building yourself. When you stop explaining, you reclaim that energy. You direct it inward. You begin to operate from a place of quiet confidence, not loud insecurity. You no longer feel the need to convince anyone of your vision because you finally understand that your vision was never meant to be understood by everyone. Some people simply don't operate at your level of ambition, and expecting them to understand your path is not only unrealistic, but destructive. Silence liberates you from this burden. It allows you to grow without unnecessary emotional interference. Explaining yourself weakens your identity because it sends the message that you are seeking approval. Every time you justify your decisions, even subtly, you reinforce the belief that someone else's opinion matters more than your own. This damages your self-trust. You begin to question your own judgment. You start seeking external guidance for things your intuition already knows. But the moment you stop explaining and start acting, you reclaim the authority over your life. You give yourself permission to trust your own voice. This shift is powerful. It strengthens your identity and solidifies your belief that you are capable of leading your own life. Silence becomes a boundary, a firm one. It says, I trust myself enough not to ask for permission. That kind of inner strength changes the way you walk, think, and move through the world. When you no longer explain yourself, people begin to view you differently. You become harder to read, harder to predict, and harder to influence. There is a quiet power in being misunderstood, not because you are hiding anything, but because you no longer feel the need to be seen. People start to sense the shift in your energy. They notice your calmness. They notice your certainty. They notice that you are focused on something they can't quite define. And ironically, this silence earns you more respect than any explanation ever could. People respect what they cannot easily access. They admire those who stand strong in their choices without defending them. Silence turns you into someone who is taken seriously without having to demand it. Another powerful aspect of silence is the emotional stability it creates. Explaining yourself puts your confidence into the hands of others. If they support you, you feel good. If they question you, you feel doubtful. This emotional dependency is dangerous because it makes your confidence unstable and your purpose shaky. But when you stop explaining, you detach your emotions from other people's reactions. You no longer rise and fall based on their approval. You remain steady, centered, and grounded regardless of what anyone believes. This emotional independence is one of the strongest forms of power a person can possess. It allows you to operate from a place of certainty, even when the world doesn't understand you. Silence also improves your decision-making. When you're not busy defending your choices, you have more mental space to refine them. You make decisions based on logic, intuition, and inner truth, not based on how they will be perceived. You move with intention instead of hesitation. You adjust quietly when necessary. You learn from your mistakes privately. And because you're no longer performing for an audience, you give yourself the freedom to evolve without judgment. Your decisions become sharper, faster, and more aligned with your long-term purpose. Ultimately, the power that grows when you stop explaining yourself comes from the confidence you build within. You begin to recognize your own worth. You begin to value your own voice. You begin to understand that explanations don't build your future. Actions do. Silence becomes your armor and your advantage. And when you embrace it, you rise above the noise, above the doubt, above the distractions, becoming someone whose presence speaks louder than any explanation ever could. There is a powerful transformation that happens when you choose silence over noise. You begin to protect your energy with a seriousness that most people never achieve. Energy is your most valuable currency, and yet most people spend it recklessly on conversations that don't matter, on arguments that don't change anything, on validation that doesn't lead to growth, and on opinions that don't deserve a second of their time. But silence saves you. It teaches you the art of conserving your strength instead of scattering it. When you stop revealing your Drea, your weaknesses and your plans to the world, you stop allowing people to drain your motivation. You stop allowing their negativity to seep into your vision. You stop allowing their doubts to sit on your shoulders. Silence becomes your shield, a barrier that protects the fire inside you from winds strong enough to extinguish it. The moment you choose to close your mouth, your attention shifts inward. You become more aware of your emotional boundaries. You begin to understand that not everyone deserves access to your mind, your plans, or your journey. You start to realize how rare and valuable your ambition is. And once you see its worth, you protect it fiercely. Silence becomes your way of filtering the world. You allow in only what strengthens you, and you block out everything that weakens you. Your mind becomes a place of clarity, your heart becomes calmer, and your purpose becomes clearer. This protection is not isolation, it is discipline. It is the choice to give your best energy only to the things that move your life forward. Another powerful effect of protecting your energy through silence is that you stop reacting emotionally to everything around you. When you talk constantly, you are easily influenced. You react without thinking. You get pulled into arguments, gossip, and distractions, but silence disconnects you from the noise that used to trigger you. You begin to respond with intention instead of reacting impulsively. You start observing more, listening more, thinking more. This shift is profound because emotional control creates life control. When you master your reactions, you master your decisions. And when you master your decisions, you control your entire direction. Protecting your energy also helps you grow faster because you eliminate the emotional chaos that drains people every day. You stop wasting time explaining your life to those who don't care. You stop trying to convince people who wouldn't support you even if they understood. You stop absorbing negativity from people who gave up on themselves long ago. Silence cuts off the energy leaks. It leaves you with more strength, more focus, and more mental clarity than you've had in years. And with that clarity, your productivity skyrockets, your discipline grows, your confidence strengthens. You begin to feel aligned with your purpose in a way that makes you unstoppable. Most people never rise because they spend their energy defending their dreams instead of building them. But when you protect your energy through silence, you conserve everything you need to win. You rise in the shadows. You build when no one is watching. You grow without interruptions. And when you finally step forward, the world won't understand how you became so strong so quickly. But you will. You will know it was because you stopped giving your energy away in meaningless conversations and started investing it in your future. Silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. It is strength. It is self-respect. And once you experience its power, you'll never live any other way. Silence gives you access to a deeper, more powerful level of focus that most people will never experience. When you stop talking about your plans, your mind stops dividing itself between doing and explaining. It stops worrying about opinions, reactions, or judgments. All your mental energy begins to point in one direction, forward. This kind of focus is rare because most people live with scattered attention. They start something, then talk about it, then think about how others will perceive it, then hesitate because of the feedback they imagine they will get. Talking fragments the mind. Silence brings it back together. In silence, your thoughts become sharper, your goals become clearer, your decisions become faster. Instead of overthinking, you begin to act. Instead of doubting, you begin to move. Silence gives you the mental clarity required to achieve results that others only dream about. Beware, the reason silence improves your focus is because it reduces mental noise. When you reveal your plans, you invite too many mental distractions. What will they think? What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if they laugh? These questions echo in your mind and steal your ability to concentrate. But when your vision remains private, your mind stays light. There is no pressure, no expectations, no fear of embarrassment. Your focus becomes pure because you are no longer performing. You are simply progressing, and progression becomes natural when your mind is not crowded with unnecessary noise. Silence clears the room so your purpose can breathe. Deep focus also grows in silence because you stop comparing yourself to others. The moment you talk about your goals, you start noticing people who claim to be doing the same thing. The mind naturally shifts into comparison mode. They are ahead. They started earlier. They are doing better. Comparison is a focus killer. It weakens your momentum. It distracts you. But when your goals are private, you don't compare, you concentrate. Your mind stays locked on your own path instead of drifting into someone else's. This creates a powerful psychological advantage. You stay grounded in your own identity instead of measuring yourself against anyone else. Silence also turns your focus inward. You take is purely for yourself. You're no longer motivated by applause or attention. You're motivated by growth. You're motivated by the vision that lives in your heart. You're motivated by the future you're building in silence. This creates a level of discipline that is far more powerful than external motivation. It is internal, self-sustaining, and deeply rooted. Br. When silence becomes your environment, focus becomes your natural state. You stop wasting mental energy. You stop chasing approval. You stop explaining yourself. Instead, you channel everything into the work. Your days become more productive, your mind becomes stronger, your progress becomes faster, and your potential becomes limitless. Silence gives you access to a level of concentration that transforms the impossible into the achievable. It is the birthplace of mastery, the foundation of greatness, and the environment where true success is built. There comes a moment in every person's life when they must confront the truth about the noise around them. So much of what you hear is designed to provoke a reaction, to pull your attention away from yourself, and to make you forget that silence is where your true strength is crafted. When you speak too soon, you give the world a chance to influence your direction. But when you remain silent, you choose to influence yourself. Silence gives you the freedom to build your inner clarity before the world has a chance to distort it, and clarity is dangerous to those who thrive on confusion. There is a reason why people who lack direction talk too much. They use words to hide the emptiness within. But you are not aiming for emptiness, you are aiming for depth. Depth requires preservation. It requires the discipline to guard your mind the way a king guards a fortress. Every thought you share is like opening the gates to anyone who walks by. They can enter, criticize, manipulate, or discourage you. But when you keep your mouth shut, they are left outside wondering what? You are building behind the walls. That uncertainty gives you power. It teaches you how to operate from a position of strength rather than validation. Because the truth is, most people don't want to see you win. They want to see you doubt yourself. They want to see you hesitate, question your path, and seek their approval. When you are silent, you remove their influence. You become your own advisor, your own builder, your own source of direction. And in that solitude, you start noticing something remarkable. Your ideas become sharper, your instincts become louder, and your intuition becomes undeniable. You realize that not every thought deserves exposure. Not every plan deserves an audience. Silence becomes a strategy, a shield, and a source of clarity. It becomes the invisible line between who you were and who you are becoming. The transformation happens quietly, in the dark, with no applause, no approval, and no distractions. And that is exactly why it works, because everything built in silence grows without interference. You grow without permission. And eventually you reach a point where your results begin to speak louder than any words you could have ever said. When that happens, people don't ask what you're planning. They ask how you did it. They ask when you changed. They ask why you seem different, more grounded, more focused, more unshakable. But they never realize the truth. The change began the day you decided to stop explaining yourself and start building yourself. There is a powerful shift that occurs when you learn to protect your energy from unnecessary conversations. When you stop revealing your intentions to people who haven't earned the right to hear them, you reclaim a part of yourself that was quietly slipping away. Every time you spoke about your dreams in the past, you gave someone a chance to diminish them. Every time you shared your plans, you offered someone the opportunity to discourage you. And every time you allowed your enthusiasm to be exposed, you gave others the ability to weaken it. But now you are learning a different way. You are learning that your goals do not need spectators. They need action. They need discipline. They need a silent, focused version of you who wakes up each day and commits to growth without seeking applause. Silence serves as the foundation of that discipline. It keeps you grounded when the world pushes you to rush. It keeps you aligned when others try to influence your direction. And it keeps you determined when everything around you attempts to distract you. With every day you stay quiet, you strengthen your ability to trust yourself. You stop needing validation. You stop craving external approval. And you start recognizing that your path is unique, too unique to be explained to people who are not built to understand it. Silence protects your dreams from being exposed to doubt. It protects your momentum from being disrupted by opinions that carry no weight. And most importantly, it protects your identity from being shaped by people who know nothing about your inner drive. When you hold your tongue, you control your narrative. You decide when to speak, what to reveal, and who is worthy of hearing anything about your journey. Silence becomes more than a habit. It becomes a weapon that shields your ambitions from destruction, that shields your confidence from erosion, and that shields your focus from fragmentation. When the world cannot predict your next move, it cannot sabotage it. When people cannot read your intentions, they cannot interfere. And when your mind remains yours alone, you become unstoppable. You walk differently. You think differently. You move differently. And without even realizing it, you separate yourself from the noise that once held you back. This is the power of silent discipline, the ability to grow in ways the world cannot see, and the ability to rise in ways the world cannot stop. Silence teaches you patience, and patience teaches you mass. Terry, when you no longer feel the need to announce your plans, you free yourself from the pressure of performing for others. You stop living for the expectations of people who do not contribute to your growth. You stop rushing your progress to satisfy anyone's curiosity. Silence removes the spotlight and gives you space to build at your own pace. And in that space, something powerful happens. You develop the resilience to keep going even when no one notices your effort. That resilience becomes your backbone. It becomes the reason you don't quit when the path becomes difficult. When you keep your dreams inside, protected from the world, you develop an inner power that does not crumble under criticism or collapse under pressure. You build a foundation that cannot be shaken by doubt or disrupted by noise. Silence allows you to detach from the external world and attach to your internal mission. You start waking up with a different kind of determination, one that is not fueled by attention but by direction. You become focused not on being seen, but on becoming capable. And capability is what changes your destiny. The more you practice silence, the more you begin to understand that your progress does not need attention to be real. It does not need applause to be meaningful. It does not need validation to be powerful. Silence clears away the unnecessary and brings you face to face with what actually matters, your growth, your focus, your purpose, your evolution. And the more you protect these things, the more unstoppable you become. People will begin to sense something different about you, even if they cannot explain what it is. They will notice your calm. They will notice your confidence. They will notice your discipline. But they will never know the secret that created it. Because that secret lives in your silence, in your decision to guard your thoughts, protect your dreams, and keep your mouth shut until the results are too loud to ignore. For the moment you embrace the power of silence, your life changes in ways that are both subtle and monumental. Once you realize that keeping your thoughts, plans, and ambitions private is not secrecy but strategy, you begin to see the world differently. You no longer feel the need to explain yourself, justify your actions, or seek validation from those who cannot understand your journey. Every word you withhold preserves energy, focus, and momentum, and every action you take in quiet determination compounds into results that speak louder than any explanation ever could. The most extraordinary victories are born in silence because they are nurtured without interference, built without distraction, and strengthened without approval. When your progress is unseen, your drive becomes unstoppable. When your work is private, your results become inevitable. And when your success finally emerges, it is undeniable, not because you have boasted about it, but because the outcome is so powerful that the world has no choice but to take notice. Silence creates a foundation for unshakable confidence. When no one knows your goals, you are no longer vulnerable to doubt planted by others. Criticism cannot weaken you, disbelief cannot slow you, and envy cannot shake you. Every thought, every plan, every effort remains yours to protect and cultivate. And as you move forward, this confidence grows. It grows silently, steadily, and relentlessly. You start trusting yourself more than you ever trusted the opinions of others. You begin relying on your instincts, your intuition, and your disciplined actions instead of external feedback. That self-reliance is a form of power that cannot be taken away. It becomes a constant companion, guiding you through obstacles, motivating you in solitude, and reminding you that your success is not dependent on anyone else's understanding or approval. Silence does not diminish your strength. It concentrates it. It focuses it. It magnifies it in ways that loud ambition and constant explanation never could. Another dimension of this secret is that it sharpens your results. When you speak about your intentions prematurely, your energy is divided between doing and explaining. You are partially in the world of action and partially in the world of validation. But when you remain silent, your energy is fully devoted to building, improving, and achieving. Every moment becomes an investment in results. Every choice is made for the sake of progress rather than perception. And this creates a cycle where your actions reinforce your vision, and your vision drives your actions with precision. The quieter you are, the more focused your execution becomes. The less you reveal, the more unstoppable your growth becomes. Silence allows you to operate under your own rhythm, on your own terms, and with a level of control over your destiny that talking could never provide. Finally, silence teaches the ultimate lesson. Results are the only language that matters. Words can be ignored, explanations can be dismissed, and promises can be broken, but results cannot be denied. Once you act in quiet determination, you create a reality that is undeniable. People may not have understood you along the way, but they cannot ignore the success you have built. They may not have believed in your vision, but they are forced to witness its outcome. This is the culmination of the power of silence. By keeping your plans private, protecting your energy, and focusing on action instead of explanation, you allow your life to become a testament to your discipline, intelligence, and perseverance. Your achievements become proof of what deliberate, quiet effort can accomplish. Your progress becomes your voice, and your results become the ultimate answer to every doubt, every question, and every skeptic. When you finally understand this secret, you realize that keeping your mouth shut is not just an action. It is a lifestyle, a mindset, and a strategy for greatness. It transforms your thoughts into results, your intentions into accomplishments, and your potential into reality. Silence is the key that unlocks your power, and once you embrace it, your life will never be the same. Your work, your growth, and your victories will speak for themselves, and they will speak louder than any words ever could.